All right, everyone, welcome back to the Football Fan Zone podcast. As you can see, we have been invaded by a host of individuals. Don't worry, guys, we're not under attack. We're not being robbed. This is not some anti-immigration protest. We actually know these guys, and we're going to be introducing these guys to you guys as the episode goes on. This is the episode before the return of Premier League football. We have been starving. We've been talking about Olympics. We've been talking about Euros, Copa America. We've been talking about even NPFL, Sporting Lagos. We are finally back, boys. We finally have some agenda to cook. And there's been a lot of transfer news. There's been a lot of games played. There's a lot to get into. So without any further ado, I'm going to introduce our guests and we're going to get into the show. So starting from the bottom left forward, Missy. Let us know who you are, what team you support. We already see your badge, and why you became a fan of that team.
You already see the badge, like you said, Chelsea FC, always the only club that really matters, in the grand scheme of things. I've been a Chelsea fan. Honestly, I became a Chelsea fan because growing up, my dad, he was a Liverpool fan. And one of the earliest games that I ever watched, like with my dad, those are like the things you always remember. We watched the Chelsea Liverpool game and I watched Zola and I was moved. So ever since then, I've been a Chelsea fan. So, this was before the glory days. When you're a kid, you don't even know what glory is, So, stroke of luck, I chose the right club. So here we are. What else was I about to say? One nice thing about rivals, no? Or wait for that. Okay. One nice. Wait, you're on mute. Who's you're on mute?
Yeah, one nice thing about your rivals.
Okay. One nice thing about my rivals. Oh, Spurs.
Weird.
I like y'all stadium. I'm not gonna lie. Spurs Stadium is really the best stadium that I've seen. Like you guys, that's not even like a small thing though. Like that's a good thing. Like I like y'all stadium. Everybody's trying to get their stadium to low key be like theirs, but we'll get to that one later. Liverpool, soft spot / hard spot / however I'm feeling that day kind of spot for you guys, So, but there's like a dry respect for Liverpool just because I watched that 05 Champions League final, so still fake, but whatever. Arsenal had Henry. When we were kids, Henry was like Mr. Aura when we were growing up. So that's the reason why. But actually, I'm not even gonna lie. Him and Perez, those are the two guys that I really respected on that Arsenal team. So if I would say one nice thing about you guys play very entertaining football. United. God, this is like pulling teeth. Cristiano Ronaldo. Yeah, Cristiano Ronaldo. Yeah. Did I miss anyone? No, I didn't miss anyone. No,
You're missing City, but we don't really care about those guys.
Yeah. Rivals. Yeah.
All right, so going across still, Riam, unmute yourself. So what we're doing is introduce yourself, how you became a fan of Liverpool. This is actually a very good story, and also say something nice about your right. I'm gonna limit this to rival, your main rival. Amma kind of went around the entire all of his rivals, but your main rival.
Okay, so yeah, my name is Riam. Adams, firstly, thank you for having me on the podcast. Really appreciate it. I'm originally from Luton in the UK. That's important as to why I became a Liverpool fan. So in January of 2006, I think we're about 6 months after, as Amma mentioned, the great Gerrard comeback in Istanbul, and about 6 months out of the 2006 World Cup. So Gerrard was a name I was hearing a lot. And around that time in January 2006, Luton got Liverpool in an FA Cup fixture. And I'd never really watched soccer before. And yeah, I just remember everyone at school was so excited. Luton went up 3-1. It was really good. Gerrard missed a penalty as well. It was looking really good. And then Xabi Alonso, future Liverpool manager, should I add, went and scored twice in the game. I think a combined distance of 120 yards on both the goals. Scored one behind the halfway line, scored one just in front. And that was it. After that, I couldn't not watch him. They won the FA Cup that year as well, and then we went on a 6-year trophy drought. So I had to endure some pretty hard times to get here, but here we are today, and I'm glad I made the best decision possible. And then something nice about my rivals, which, as you can see by my background, is Manchester United. I'll say two things. I'll say the first thing, George supports them, and he's probably the only person that's making them a little bit more likable for me. But the only good thing I can say about Manchester United is you guys have had some dogs over the years, and I love. There's a lot of players that you have that are easy to hate, guys like Wayne Rooney, Fernandes, Rashford, Martial. Those are some real ballers, and giving me some of my favorite memories for England. So I'd say, yeah, the nice thing I could say. But don't worry, I got plenty of slander loaded up for the end of the podcast, so not an issue.
Oh yeah, we definitely don't doubt that. So finally, and definitely not least, George, why on earth did you become a fan of United? Who even are you? And for the love of God, say something nice about your main rival. You're on mute. He's not very bright, guys. He's one that we have to kind of help him out.
My name is George, aka Hoyland, aka Ruva Nisoroy. I could go up to the whole show is over, but let's just keep it at that. So I started supporting United, kind of like how Amma was. So my dad was like a big Chelsea fan. My uncle was a big Arsenal fan. So like naturally, it's like you have to go against like, you know, those pillars. You can't just be growing up as a man and decide, oh yeah, let me be joining my uncle or joining my dad. You have to go find your own way. But what I do remember though is this is I think it was the Arsenal game against United. You know, when Ruud van Nistelrooy scored to kill their unbeaten streak. You know, with the Rooney penalty and all that incident. So I saw the pain in Arsenal, like in my uncle's eyes. So I said, you know what, this United team, they've given me something. I was young, but after that, fast forward to like a year or two later, 05, 06, after watching the 2006 World Cup, like I was fully invested in United. Like saw the whole Ronaldo Rooney saga. Like I was like, man, like this is the team for me. And ever since starting 05, nothing has changed. And like I think I'm the biggest United supporter in the world. Like I think I'm the biggest. So if there's any United fan watching this think they're a bigger supporter than me, let me know. Let me see. Let me check you and see if you're the one. But I think I'm the biggest one. Something nice about my rivals. Let me tell you something. Liverpool, they've given me the greatest hate watch of all time. And I would never like, that is one of the biggest. That game against Atletico in the Champions League quarterfinals, or was it? I'm telling you, I hold that to my heart every day. So Liverpool.
It's not something nice, George. Something nice about your rivals. Something nice that happened to them. That happened to you.
Okay. Liverpool historically, like this is one of the biggest clubs in England, no matter what. You know how like when you go on Twitter and it'll show you delete one club, delete this. I always never delete Liverpool because that historical battle is just like they have that, 5 European Cups or 6 European Cups. Like you can't beat that, you know what I mean? So like that's one thing like I really like about Liverpool. Their history is very rich. I have a personal rivalry with Arsenal. But one thing I will say about Arsenal, like just them being in London, I think that's the nicest thing I could say. That the club is just in London, and I like the city of London. So that's the nicest thing I can give them. Who else? City, guy. I don't need to speak about City, bro. Like let's just stick to Liverpool and Arsenal, and that should be enough nice things because I have a lot of things to say. So let's just stick with that right there.
I'm surprised you even got that far. We appreciate it. So the next thing we're getting into is we just watched the Community Shield yesterday, which officially signifies the start of the Premier League season. We have been starving, guys. The game itself was pretty cut and dry. first half wasn't really that memorable, but we got some action in the second half and went straight to penalties. And for the first time in forever that I can remember, Manchester City won the Community Shield um, due to goals for United from Garnacho and an equalizer from Bernardo Silva. We had misses in the penalty shootout from Jadon Sancho, Bernardo Silva, and the crucial miss, which confirmed Manchester City as the Community Shield champions, was by old man Johnny Evans. So I'm going to start with the two people who haven't spoken yet, are our usual guests and Football Fan Zone grandfathers, Pius and Chuk. So starting from you, Pius, these are two teams that you've competed with, both personally in your rivalry with United, and also in terms of going for Premier League titles in the last 4 or 5 years with Manchester City. So what did you take from the Community Shield? What do you think does that spell anything? Did you gain anything about the season? What was your takeaway from that game? You're muted, Pius.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now? Yeah, sorry. Okay, so I think like all Community Shield games I've seen over the past, we can't really read much into them. Just like you mentioned, I think City have lost like the last 3 or 4 Community Shields, and then they've gone on to win the league. So that in itself, speaks volume on the Community Shield. But for the game itself, I'm sure I've seen Manchester United fans saying, "Oh, they played well. They were unlucky to lose the game," and I'll sort of agree. I think United did well. I think Manchester United of recent have kind of like tried to close the gap with City, and then City, on some hand, you could say they're sort of declining. So maybe the gap is closing, and then you could see it. Remember, and also Manchester United were riding high from the FA Cup victory over City last season as well. So they were coming in with sort of like no fear of City. They came in there, they wanted to impose themselves, But yeah, it was kind of like a close game. I was really impressed with Bruno Fernandes. I thought he did well. I also like Ahmad as well. I'm as a Liverpool fan, I don't know. I don't know. I'm sure maybe George would like to jump into him later on. Does he think Ahmad should get a starting role this season? I think I've been impressed with him. I also remember that guy he gave us last season as a Liverpool fan. That goal, yeah. So. But prior to that, actually, I've always rated the guy. I think United, though I don't like them, of course, as a Liverpool fan, I hate them, I despise them. But I think they might have a good season this year. They look like they've done good business in the transfer window. We'll see what happens for them. For Manchester City, I don't know what to make of them as per the game yesterday. It looks like they started the majority of their fringe players. I saw James McAtee. I think he was on Sheffield Troll last season. He was playing. I like Oscar Bob. I think that's somebody that might break out into the City team. Really good player for City. Not so much Haaland, still showing that Haaland, big games, anonymous. You can't really. Can you hear me? Am I frozen?
No, you're still good. You're still good, Pius.
Okay. Yeah, so I say Haaland, with that sort of, big game performance where it's kind of like anonymous. You don't know what to expect from him. It seems like he's disappointing. So yeah, City will have to sort that out. And then Kevin De Bruyne, how fit is he? How what are his performance levels going to be? He's aging, age not on his side as well. So that will be something that we'll also be looking out for this season. We'll see how it all pans out. But yeah, like I said when I started, you can't really read much into a Community Shield game. So yeah, that's just what I have to say.
Last thing before you go, Pius, do you have a Community Shield like standout player? I'm going to ask everyone that too at the end of their analysis. Who do you think was the standout player in the game?
Community Shield standout player. I'll say I'll pick one player from the two teams. I would say for Manchester United, I think I liked Luis Bruno Fernandes played. I think everything he did yesterday was good. He ticked everything, all his touches, passes. He scored a goal that was not too big, but a good goal. He also has an eye for goal. Yeah, so Bruno Fernandes for me for Manchester United, and for City, that's a tough one. But I'll stick with Oscar Bob as well. Good young player. So yeah, those are my two players for the Community Shield.
Perfect. All right. Coming to you, Chooks. What was your analysis? I know you have a particular interest in, I think everything City does affects you guys now because you know that going into the season, kind of your primary competition, your primary focus is on everything that Manchester City does going into the season because you are the clear contenders to the Premier League title. What did you take away from that game from both teams? What do you think is United's hopes for the season? Was there any surprises for you? And then cap that off with who your standout player was on both teams.
Firstly, apparently there's a Community Shield curse. If you win the Community Shield, you won't win the league. George, I'm just observing, but now the game. I think the game went exactly how it's supposed to go. You know, City played a lot of academy boys. United had more men on the pitch, but early on in the game, you know, United couldn't really get put their chances away because they created a lot of chances against, you know, those City French players. But one thing I would say that annoys me with Man City is like when Bernardo Silva came on, instantly you just see the difference. And they have so many of those guys that didn't play. So I mean, obviously, you know, is you can see Pep doesn't really take these games as serious. It's like the way Klopp plays all his Carabao Cups up until the final. And it's like he's begging guys to beat him. He's giving a lot of young players the chance to go play. So it was a boring game, to be honest, up until, you know, the end of the game. So I wouldn't read much from a Man City point, but from a United point, if your expectations, I don't know what United fans are expecting this season, but if they are high, you have to put away a lot of those chances. You guys created way too many to not put away those chances. As for standout players, someone that I hate that he's in United, I would love him on my team, is Bruno Fernandes. And really, it's not even really the goal. He's the modern version of a footballing crackhead. He just attempts some ridiculous stuff, and you know, sometimes you're just in awe of how I don't know what the word is, but he's as though he's not being coached. But
it reminds me of that goal against Liverpool, if you remember, from the halfway line.
Like he
like no one else is trying.
That's like the guy is on something pure. Like it wasn't filtered. The guy is snorting everything that is supposed to be in it, and it's just beautiful to see. Like the goal that was an offside, that skill, technique, everything in it. A lot of the passes, he created like so many chances, nobody could put it away. So yeah, standout player was Bruno in United. For City, it's Bernardo Silva. As soon as he came on, it was like there was a man on the pitch. Poor Pelistri had to be on the end of that poster. Poor guy. But that's what City have. I mean, Haaland will be Haaland, but once KDB is playing, Haaland turns into something else. And then they now have Oscar Bob coming out. Foden didn't play. You know, Ake didn't play. Their new boy, I don't know, he didn't look too good. Savinho. This guy was dangerous. What's his name? Doku. So yeah, no, City, those ones, they are, you know, Pep was probably hoping for United to win that shootout, so everyone can be like, oh, City don't look good. They are not going to win the league this year, but maybe we have caused them. Who knows? That might be the only good thing George might do for me this whole year. We'll find out in May.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. Amma, I saw you had a visual reaction to the slander on Savio's name. So we got a good look at Savio, another Citigroup signing. When those 115 charges hit, these guys can't say nothing because we are seeing it with our eyes, right? We're all seeing this. They're signing guys from their sisters and their cousins. Some kind of Targaryen arrangement is going on here. But anyways, Amma, what did you make of the game? Who are your standout players? What do you think both of these clubs can look forward to going into the season?
Can y'all hear me? Okay, yeah. The game was actually a pretty good game, I think. I know like a lot of people like were saying like it was like a sluggish type of game, but I think it was a pretty good game. I think with City, like as mentioned, like they didn't really play a lot of their like first team guys. Foden wasn't there. I don't think Rodri was there. I'm not mistaken. I don't remember. But standout guys, standout players. City for me, I would say Oscar Bob. I think that hole in right wing is probably going to be his as like this season progresses on for City. And he's a pretty good player, like he's very solid on the ball, and like whenever they get the ball in like the opponent's like penalty area, like his decision making is very, very like he also has that somewhat, I think the word that Chooks was probably looking for to describe what Bruno does is the audacity. So it's like you just like have the nerve to just to like I'm gonna do this anyway. So I think he has that in him as well, and just he's just the kind of guy. As long as he stays healthy and gets more minutes on that right wing flank, I think it'll help City in the long run. So I think for them, definitely a standout player. He did provide the assist for the Bernardo goal. So yeah, I think yeah. So and then on the United side, they go as Bruno goes for sure. That's how they've always been since he's gotten there. It's it's just a matter of can they keep as many of their other key guys as healthy as possible. Just like everybody else, like a lot of teams last season was, were decimated by injuries. So the table looked very, very weird at the end of the season. So I think this year, the number one key for everything definitely will be health. But outside of that, once everyone is healthy, I think United, Bruno is going to be, obviously, he's going to be in charge of driving them forward and making them tick. And I think he's proven that he can do that. So it's just a matter of guys like Rashford and I mentioned Ahmad earlier. He's also one of those kind of guys that's like on that Oscar Bob trajectory. I think if he just gets that time, I think he'll be able to be impactful as well too. But I also think that United, once like the thick of the season starts, I think United they have more of a tendency, right? I think they would have more of a tendency to drop off than anyone else. Just because for some reason Ten Hag managing the full season, he does it in a weird way. That's the best thing I can say. He does it in a very weird way. So yeah. But as far as the game, not really much to take from it, honestly. That's one of those games you watch. You just kind of watch specifically for the players just to see like what they can actually do. So yeah. Would it say much about City? Nah, we know what they'll be. Honestly, we know what they'll be. Does it say much about United? They played well, because Bruno played well, pretty much. So if you can limit Bruno when you play United, then that's the end all be all. So yeah.
Okay, that was a good take. I'm sure George has some responses to that, but it's a good thing we're going to him last. Rim, obviously, much like Pius, like United are your direct rivals, and you've spent a better part of your adulthood hating Pep and City. So what did you take away from the Community Shield? This is probably back-to-back Community Shields that you're not in. I'm sure that feels kind of weird, but what did you take away, and what do you think the outlook is for these two teams on the season, and who are your standout players?
Well, let me start by saying Bruno Fernandes, that guy is just a different level of good. Honestly, it reminds me. I would say he's probably been the best midfielder in the league in the past 5 years if Kevin De Bruyne didn't exist, right? And it reminds me a lot of when Alexis Sanchez was in the league and Eden Hazard was just maybe a little bit better than him, but Sanchez's numbers were different level. And so Bruno's not going to be the guy to skill you out like Mahrez would, or just be the full engine. But he is so direct, and it's
he ain't the fastest. He ain't the smartest. He ain't the best passer. He ain't.
There's a lot that he lacks on, but I tell you, his directness in a time where, sorry, Chooks, but Pep and Arteta have ruined the league. It's so refreshing to watch, and I've watched him personally damage Liverpool with that directness before. If it's free kicks, if it's long shots from the halfway line. So I have nothing more than to sing his praises because that dude put his team on the back yesterday and just carried them. And oh man, even I, as a Liverpool fan, was praying that goal would count. And so it wasn't even him that was offside. It was, I think, Rashford. So anyway, I'll kind of leave it at that for United. It was just the Bruno Fernandes show. And they did well to hold City, I will say. Same thing as you guys said, Oscar Bob as well. The dude is so agile. He just reminds me even more of Mahrez. And yeah, it was just a pleasure to watch him. It reminds me of his goal against Newcastle last season. You know, last minute he did that at St. James's Park. So the kid's ready. If Pep thinks that you can be thrown into the starting 11, there's not many people that can say no. So it was a good result. I think that United do have a tendency to show up on the occasions like this. So a big Wembley day out, they'll do well. What they do over the league season and with Eric Sevenhaag at the helm, I don't really know what will happen. I will say as well, I think the signings and injuries have just come a little too soon for United. You know, Yoro's out, I think, for not even 2 months now, 4 months maybe. De Ligt is going to have probably 3 months, perfect. So, you know, De Ligt's going to have a couple centre-back partnerships with Maguire, with Johnny Evans, with the Butcher, if he even has to fill in at centre-back. Not sure how Mazraoui will do. If, you know, Lissandro and Malacia Shaw are sharing game time at left back. I just think it's going to be a little too soon for Ten Hag to get a top 4 spot this year, but the squad looks so much better. And I pray to God for United's sake, put Bruno Fernandes as the main guy and do not take him out the starting 11. He's the only guy that can play all 38 games. He can play the cup games. I don't want to hear any slander. That guy is different level. And final thing I'll say, Chooks, you're on watch now, buddy, because the last time City lost the Community Shield, we won the league. So Arteta's already finished second twice. We're up, right? So it's your turn now. You're going to take it and run. City have done everything for you. All eyes are on you now.
Riem the noticer, man. Nice.
Yo, he's the ultimate noticer, bro. Like, Chooks, you are on notice. all eyes on North London forever.
Man, let's cook. This year, that's how many times I dragged George to London. We have to do a Chooks and George picture. Pius, come to London.
I will be there if my life depended on it.
So last but certainly not least, I left him last on purpose. I'm glad that it worked out this way, where he's the bottom right of the screen, so we can always come last to him on every discussion. Obviously, he's the only one on the panel whose team actually played in a game, so I'm sure he was way more intent in watching this game, and he has a lot more takeaways. So what we're going to do is we're going to segue into the next segment using George. So George, review the game. Tell us who your standout players were. And instead of saying the outlook for both teams, I would like for you to get into what your expectations are for United. You can address the 2 recent transfers that we've been made aware of. So the floor is yours. We're going to segue into the next segment of the show using that. So George, take it away.
So I think United played actually even better than I was expecting, because like there's been a thing made of like Ten Hag that like the whole fan base, they want to see like a style of play. And one thing you can't do against City is try to go band for band with City. You've seen like play style, like when Solskjaer was playing against Pep, you just play pragmatic and just counter against Pep. I remember when we first started, when Ten Hag, his first season against Pep, you know, like that game, that 6-3, you saw what he tried to do. He tried to go band for band with City. You don't do that with them. You just know what you have and just attack him in different ways. So from the FA Cup final, right, we changed the way we played throughout the whole season and played with, you know, like without an out-and-out striker. So we had Bruno and like another midfielder playing up there, just like kind of like pressing. So like I think one of the things that worked well again was we limited, like, because when you play City, you cannot concede like early or like literally like in the first few, 20 minutes, whatever. So United, I felt like we had the game under control in that aspect where we like limited them from playing like City. And then with that, we continue to gain confidence, leading into us creating chances. You saw like after the first 20 minutes, like 20 minutes before the half, you saw how Ahmad was getting into the game, Bruno was getting into the game, everybody else like collectively was getting into the game. Even Casemiro was getting into the game, giving senior man passes. So I was really impressed with how we played. And with City, it's like even when we scored the goal, this is how good I think City is. Even when we scored the goal and everybody was tweeting saying, Garnacho win that, Garnacho. You didn't hear pim from me because I know that I know that team, bro. No matter what you do, until that whistle blows, you haven't won. You literally haven't won. So I just knew that like Manchester City, like when like Chooks was saying, as soon as they brought in like a Bernardo Silva, things started clicking, boom, 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 and it's like muscle memory. It just they just like pick up speed like that, And Chooks, one thing I will say though, you know how you were mentioning Manchester City, they would play academy boys. 7 out of 11 of of the players on the pitch were starters. 7 out of 11. They only had three academy boys. Oscar Borg is not their new right winger, so you can't be saying academy guy.
Akanji was drunk during that FA Cup thing.
Guy.
Just putting it out there.
That was the funniest thing I saw all week, man.
What I'm saying is though, with that City team, like I felt like United, like played well against that team because like if you look at that lineup, the only person that I thought was like a young boy was the O'Reilly kid and McAtee, new players in. Everybody else, Jeremy Doku, Haaland, Oscar Bob, they've all been playing. Vardio, that's their starter. Diaz, in fact, Diaz was actually terrible that game. I don't know. Chooks has an agenda against Diaz, and it keeps showing. That guy, we need to put him on watch all season. The guy, the guy is just, he's something else. But anyways, yeah, my main takeaways is like, I feel like Ten Hag is like slowly, finding his feet because you guys always forget his first season was a very good season. You guys will say what you want, but the guy finished 3rd place. We only lost 3 extra games at Arsenal. I would keep saying that. I don't care. We only lost 3 less games at Arsenal. Our title contenders. So the second season we had a lot of injuries, but this 3rd season, I'll address the new signings. I feel like Matthijs de Ligt and Mazraoui are really good additions because if Ten Hag wants to implement that style of play that he wants to do, we cannot have players like Wan-Bissaka, executing that. Wan-Bissaka is like, he's a very good one-on-one player, but we want to play like imposing football. And with that, we can't have Wan-Bissaka as like our first choice right back if, like at any moment. So Mazraoui is a good option because as well, he can play left back. We had a lot of issues with left back last season. Luke Shaw, I'm sorry, but he has to go. He's been unreliable for how many long? He's a good player, regardless, but he has to go. And I feel like Mazraoui will complement both sides. Matthijs de Ligt, he's one of those players that have begged United to sign since, like Frankie de Jong. And we've signed him now, but it's like, I'm not, I don't feel the same that I did before than as now. Like before, I really wanted him, but now, if he's coming in to be like, that second depth, it's very great for United. Like if you have De Ligt as your second option after like Martinez, Euro, I think that's a very good option to have, especially like with the injuries that we're having. So I really think those are good signings, and I feel like we need to, I feel like for us to fight for top 4, we really need to sign a commanding center defensive midfielder. Like we can't go into the season with Casemiro partnering Manu. I don't like Casemiro. See, Chooks. Casemiro is a guy. He's a plug-in player now. He's not a mainstay. We can't start the season with Casemiro. We need like at this point. It got to the point like I'll literally take whoever. Like that Ugarte, I'm not convinced, but I will take him. I feel like he can shore up the midfield and he will just make simple passes to like, get us going in the season. I think
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think there's that Jimmy Carragher video where he said the footballers left him. Was it in reference to Casemiro?
yes.
I'm sorry.
Fuck has left the guy, but
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
it's sad to say because his first season was phenomenal. He's really one of the driving forces that got us that third place. And the way he scores his goals, he scored crucial goals like in crucial moments. So, but it's just it's time to go. It's time to go.
The sad thing is Casemiro has that Ronaldo delusional gene in him. He's gonna play until you wheel him off the field.
Man, like, those guys, it's like I don't know, you guys don't notice this, right? But there's things that Casemiro does on United's pitch that he would never try at Madrid. Like there were some clips I saw the guy was trying shots from the halfway line. For what? You know, that's what I'm saying. Like you were saying, that gene, that delusion. It's like they still think like they have that. You don't have that anymore. But let me close out with saying one thing about Bruno Fernandes. I have to say this. Uzo, I told you about this, my Bruno. The guy, if it wasn't for De Bruyne, he's like Riam said, he's the best midfielder in the league, and it's like he proves it every single time. If you want to do stats wise, he has the stats to back it up. If you want to do eye test, if you see goal catalog, right? Bruno has one of the best goal catalogs in any midfielder in the league currently.
Goal catalog for a midfielder, man.
What?
Allah.
No, I'm trying to tell you, like, I'm trying to give you like options. Like, if you
Wait. I just want you. I want to be clear.
yeah,
What Riam said and what you're now backing up is Bruno Fernandes is the best midfielder in the league if KDB didn't exist. So we're just saying fuck Rodri, right? Just fuck him.
okay, but let's.
All right, no. I'm just no. Don't say okay. Don't say. I asked you a question. That's what I'm saying. Okay, all right, good. Keep going. Cook.
Let me say something else. Yeah, okay, the best attacking midfielder. Because yeah, I'm not gonna disrespect Rodri like that, and Declan Rice, those guys, But attacking wise, I'm not saying Declan Rice better, but I'm saying like in that realm, attacking wise, Bruno without Kevin De Bruyne in this league is Bruno, and I'm sorry. And there's that one saying that they were saying about what's this guy Busquets. They say if you watch the game, if you watch the game, you will see Busquets. If you watch Busquets, you see the whole game. For Bruno, if you watch the game, you will see Bruno. If you watch Bruno, you still see the game. So he's the opposite of whatever the Busquets thing is. So Bruno is just, bro. I honestly kind of do feel bad for him because I feel like he came in. I feel like if Bruno was like a Liverpool player, or even if he was at Arsenal right now, he would have a Premier League trophy, and I stand by that completely. If Bruno was part of that Liverpool setup, he might sneak, that some of the title races that Liverpool lost out on. Bruno will be the guy, the catalyst. At Arsenal right now, please remove that Odegaard, put Bruno. They will win the league. What was the other topic?
Allow it.
It took 38 minutes, but we have our first bomba. We've got our first Football Fan Zone exclusive, guys. Bomba.
What was
Bruno over Odegaard. Let's cook.
What was the last thing you wanted me to address?
So the last thing is now your expectations going into the season. Now you've told us that Bruno is the second best midfielder in the league. You've told us that Erik ten Hag had the best start to a Premier League season that you've ever seen. So let's cook, man. Let's cook. What are your expectations? What are your expectations going into the season for United?
So, like I was telling my other United guy Haruna earlier, I think United we have the team to fight for top four, and I'm not saying that we will get top four. I feel like as a standard we have the team to fight for top four because if even like last season we started dropping off like February, March, we were still in that realm. Like we're like, oh, if we get a good run of games, we'll still be trying to fight for top four. Is it not true? We didn't. Yeah. It wasn't like we stopped in December. No, we had up into the spring, and then we we just gave up. But I feel like this year with new board, new signings, fresh players. Just I feel like things is gonna be different, and also like now with Hoyland, he has like a backup. He has a backup player that will help address like burnout issues, injuries, kind of things, and a different skill set kind of player. Because with Hoyland, he's similar to Haaland, but where like they don't really get into the game. With Xerxes, oh no, I'm not. No, he's similar to Haaland, where they don't really get into the game. Ten Hag uses him as a target man kind of player, but with Xerxes is more like the guy can get into the game and connect with his teammates. And I feel like Xerxes is a signing that helps Ten Hag's type of play, like the way we play Manchester City, because now we can even have Bruno playing up top with Xerxes. And it's like I feel like we won't lose a lot like in that central area of the pitch. So I'm really excited. This is the most excited I've been in a long time. So I'm really ready to see this United. I'm very, very ready. I think we'll get top 4. If we miss out, I think we'll miss out by like 2 games. And that's my expectations for United. Top 4, not top 4, like 4th place. Let's just be very clear about that. 4th place.
George, let me have you summarize it as this. What is the minimum expectation that if the manager falls below it for any reason whatsoever, he needs to go? What's the minimum?
If, for example, if he gets that 7th spot, like it has to be 4 to 6 in that range, 4 to 6, like 4th place, 5th place, 6th place. I feel like when he starts flirting with like 6th place, 7th place, he has to go. If he doesn't get us like European football, he has to go. But in terms of like league standings, I would say 7th place. If he like finishes 7th place with the squad we have, I feel like he didn't do well and he has to go. And we'll know very early if we're about to finish 7th. So he might not even last February, March kind of thing. We'll know by December if he's going to stay at this point. That's what.
That is perfect. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go next so I can go back across and we'll end up at Riem. And it works out perfectly because we can get a Liverpool opinion, get a couple more opinions, and then get another Liverpool opinion. And I suspect they're going to be kind of similar. I don't know. We'll see. For Spurs, I think the expectation is definitely to fight for top 4. I think we're one of the few teams that kept our manager, kept a good crop of the squad. We've kind of reinforced where we need to reinforce. So the manager has no excuses. The manager doesn't have any excuses as far as deadwood. We've gotten rid of almost all of the deadwood. We've gotten players in that he specifically wanted. And it looks like we're going to get a couple more in before the window is over, as the manager has said himself. So I think that the minimum expectation for Spurs has to be to get Champions League. And whether that's by finishing top 4 or finishing top 6 and winning the Europa League, whatever the case may be, he has to get European. He has to get the premier European football. And I think that he has the least excuses out of all of the pretty much every other manager besides City and Arsenal, because he's still in his job. He's got the team that he wanted. And we came really close last season. We missed out on top 4 by 2 or 3 points, thanks to the loss to City, which good loss. But yeah, so I think as far as Spurs, our expectations are very clear. We have to be in the top 4 and we have to be in Champions League. And I think it's going to show very early if we're capable of achieving that. And I think that if the manager shows any kind of flirt, and I agree with George, by December you kind of know pretty much everybody's fortunes, because there's been a lot of turnover in the league. There's a lot of teams that seem like they could compete. And I think that by December, we'll start to really figure out who's who in this league. And if we're not part of the who's, then I'm sorry, big 60-year-old Ange, who's in his first major job, maybe you're just not cut out for it, So we'll see. That's my long and short of Spurs as far as our expectations going into the season. And I think that'll be reflected when we go into predictions next. So, Pios, we have all, as neutrals, been absolutely gobsmacked and entertained by Slutty Ball all preseason. Slutty Ball is taking over is taking over the internet as a massive sensation. So I know all Liverpool fans have. I saw a tweet just before we started. I saw a tweet saying, "No offense to Klopp, but this is the best I've seen us play in years." So the expectations are rising, man. They're pulling Klopp's beard and his yellow teeth. So all I have to ask is, as an avid supporter of Liverpool, what do you expect from Liverpool Football Club? You're in the Champions League, so you're not in the baby boys league like the rest of us. You're in the Champions League. You've got your squad. It looks like you might be getting a major signing very soon. What do you expect from the team? And two, what is the minimum that will keep this guy in the job after the first year? What is the absolute minimum expectation that you would tolerate going into the season? You have the floor.
Okay, so let me start with the first question. In terms of what I expect, I think looking at slots and the way we've played over the years with the club, I think the playing style is pretty similar in a way. The only difference I'll say is with slots, there's going to be a bit of less chaos. Klopp's football is more, just go at it, pressing, chaos ball, let's entertain the fans, let's play with high intensity. But I think slots is going to bring a bit more. I think the difference just going to be a bit more control. So there wouldn't be that, sort of like chaos ball sort of football. I think that could put us in good stead. And in terms of adjustments, since Slot is a new manager, that will also play well for us as well, I think, in terms of at least there wouldn't be a need for some sort of massive rejigging or retuning of how the system is working. So I think that is also good. Yeah, I love the playing style. From what I've seen, some of the few clips I've seen in preseason, I've actually not watched the full game of the preseason, but some of the clips I've seen, they look really good. We look like, yeah, we're ready to go. But, let me just put some caution out there. It's preseason, you can't, as everything is, it's preseason. And another thing is, I don't like, I don't know. I think it now puts a bit more pressure on the team. Everybody's not going to be like, ooh, it seems Liverpool won preseason. So everybody's going to be, looking up for Liverpool. I'm worried first game of the season away at Ipswich. I don't know. It looks like one of those banana skins for us.
No. All right, let's
Get him out. Get him out.
Let's pause.
You see
All right,
banana skin?
What's all this? What's all this?
What?
We're not letting the worry swing.
Ipswich should be the kind of winter breakfast, that Hilton Continental. With
Yeah,
the
you've heard about people, Ray.
No, what made me worried is I think away from home as well, newly promoted club. Come on, we've seen things like this before. I think there was a time
Liverpool
City
always plays
City,
in
when
the promoted club opening weekend, home or away. Like that's the breakfast the lead serves you guys every year. Go out, look it up. Every year, first game of the season, they're getting a newly promoted team.
Besides Omar Hutchinson, name one Ipswich player.
Exactly.
You're actually usually good at this, but I think even this one will trip you up. You don't know.
Tough.
There you go.
Yeah, it's tough.
The audience knows. Players always knows the most obscure player. He even knew players in Austria. But he doesn't know any players. If that tells you how bad this Pius, please.
All right, okay. I don't know. I'm just being, I just like to be cautious. I'm just, of course, right. We'll be favorites going into a game against Ipswich, but when things happen in the Premier League, things can happen. But yeah, we look good in preseason. It's like we've won preseason. If preseason was a tournament, I think we'll win. we'll win the trophy. So yeah, we look good. What's the second question, Uzo? Let me address that.
The second question is: so while you haven't addressed what your expectations are, like what do you think the club can do, and then what is the least that you will accept before you're like, slot out, get him out? Like, what's the worst that he can do where you're like, get this guy out of my club?
I think for Liverpool, the minimum is anything below top four will be unacceptable for me.
So if he doesn't get top four end of the season, you want him out, like sacked. What if he gets fifth with like 2 points?
I don't know. I think top four should be the minimum. I wouldn't accept anything below top four. 2 points, 1 point is still out of the top four. So top four is a must. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. You're good.
Yeah, so I said top four is the minimum for me. Anything below that is not acceptable. It's not acceptable for me. And in terms of expectation, well, I think this team is good enough to challenge for the Premier League, right? That is it. That's how I think this team is good enough to challenge for the Premier League. I think so. Well, you might be outside looking in and say, some of those key players that we had, Van Dijk, Robertson, they are not what they once were. Maybe some fans might even say they are past their prime. So would that? But I still think they still have one more season in them. Those guys, Alisson, Salah still has that juice, just like Chip said. He still has that juice in him. So I think we can still squeeze one full season out of those guys for a title challenge. So yes, so I think my expectation is we fight for the title by thereabout by April. Then we'll see what happens. So yeah, that's my expectation for Slot and Liverpool season. Very high expectations. Good luck.
I have to say, pleasant surprise. Pleasant surprise. You're giving me more than I could believe.
Not lie.
You have given me more than I could believe than I could have ever asked for. Thank you. Thank you. So coming over to Shoots, well, Liverpool didn't have any transfer business, so there was nothing to react to. Shoots, you brought in Big Kala, the Big Bird. You brought in Calafiori,
Mr. Aura.
Aura, the most handsome man in the league. What do you think about the business that you've done so far? Incomings, outgoings. What do you think are the expectations? Your expectations for the team this season, and what will finally get you, Chooks, to say Arteta out at the end of the season if it happens? I think I know what it is, but what is it? Tell the people.
In terms of transfers, very underwhelming. I feel like we've, again, going back to how Arsenal is, like, we're leaving our business till later. Even though everyone knows what we needed, but we're leaving it late. The Spanish midfielder was supposed to get every week. Fabricio says deal is done, and we haven't seen player. Calafiori, when I saw him today, I'm like, damn, this guy is huge playing left back. I think he's like 6'3". And on one of the set piece routines, I'm genuinely weeping for the rest of the league, because I don't know when Arteta turned into the lost son of Sean Dyche. Those set piece routines get more creative. The first two goals we scored in our last preseason game today, Ben White didn't go to the goalie once, like in the first half. And then the second half, he starts doing that thing where he goes to stand. So I think they've added some more tricks to the routine. But yeah, Calafiori is the kind of player, Arteta likes. He didn't really get to be on the ball as much, so you can't really judge. The one thing I would say, and I think Pius was alluding to that, the guy is one handsome man. Won't lie. I don't know if that's gonna have any effects on guys staring at him, but the guy is one handsome man. As for expectations, I think Riam has sent one of those memes before where the guy was like, "Won a title charge." That's the only expectation. As someone that has been in the trenches for as long as I have, I wouldn't trade top 4 battles for title race. I'm sorry. Like, waking up every morning and not even caring about your style. All you're caring about is 3 points. Like, that first goal, and then you can ease back. Then you score 2. I'm expecting another title race. As for minimum, a lot of Arsenal fans have not been saying this, but we need to win a trophy. Now that the Great United were ready to celebrate Community Shield, apparently no trophy is a small trophy anymore. So Arteta, I need, whether it's Carabao, Prem, FA Cup, Champions League, you have to win something. This season, you have to win something. That's the minimum. The squad is good enough. We have a lot of players that can come in and play a lot of those games that maybe they think are not important. That trophy, we have to get a trophy. Of course, this is the 3rd attempt. At least if we don't have any injuries, this is the 3rd attempt going up against City. And it's one of the reasons why I'm always hesitant to say Arteta out. It's because I don't think Edu has done enough to to give him the squad to rival City in that way where you're like, okay, we're actually the clear favorites. City are always going to be the clear favorite. You have to just hope you do what Liverpool did, or kind of what we did at the end of last season, where we went on that ridiculous 17 out of 18 games we won. You need something like that. But then I'm looking at someone like Jesus, Zinchenko. They've had good preseasons, but is that going to translate to the normal season? When I look at what Bernardo Silva can do off the bench, I look at what Kevin De Bruyne can do off the bench. We still need something like that, and we haven't done that business. But all you can do is hope. I was ready to buy some Martinelli stocks, and I watched him today, and man, bro, it's like watching Rashford yesterday. Bro, it's like these guys dip their hand into some random number maker and pick their so far score. It's like Rashford can pick 9 out of 10 today and drop a 9 out of 10. Like, I'm looking at Martinelli. I'm like, brother, at this point, that midfielder, quote unquote, that was supposed to buy to revive you might not revive you at all. Like, the speed is still there, but the IQ is missing. So I don't know. But my expectation, just like everyone that's an Arsenal fan, is we have to win. We have to win the league. I think is now. As for what will happen for me to say Arteta out, I don't know. Just like with Klopp, when Pep is in this league, you can't say, oh, the guy didn't beat Pep, so he should go. Who in the history of Pep's existence, only one man has come close to knocking his teeth, and that's Mourinho. Outside of that, and that list is so small. So am I going to expect a first-time manager that's still in his 40s to flog him if he doesn't beat Pep? No, I can't say that. So whatever happens this season, except if we're healthy and the guy finishes out of top 4, yeah, that would be bad. But obviously, I don't think that's going to happen. But my expectation is this year, we have to win the league, and the minimum is a trophy. Carabao, FA Cup. I saw how George celebrated the FA Cup longer than he celebrated his own birthday. So we need to bring back something.
You see the flag, Joe? Yeah. May 25 to 2024. I hope you can feel this someday. I really hope.
I mean, finishing 7th place or 8th place with the FA Cup. Come on, man.
See this number.
That's normal. That's normal level over here.
I'll be real. They will parade Arteta like Anini if he finished 7th and won FA Cup. The way they'll beat him like Jesus on the way to get 7th.
Bro, it's place and FA Cup. That's what Maitland-Niles was doing for us. Come on, man.
The thing about Arsenal though is like what I would say is if you guys get a lead again on City.
But we didn't have one last season.
I'm talking about from the season.
Yeah, from the first round.
I'm just saying, like theoretically, if you have that lead again and Arteta doesn't close, especially when he's experienced it like before, and then even last season he had like two games breathing room, right? I feel like if he gets that chance again and he doesn't take it, I don't think he's the guy.
No, okay. So I will say this: the first season, yeah. Last season, if you look at it without like the games in hand, we never really. Liverpool had a bigger gap on us and City, the whole time. If that happens again, where we have like a 5-point gap, I think we can close it out because it's happened. What I saw from us, and again, last season that Champions League sandwich between the Villa game. Mm-hmm. It was one of those weeks where you just saw everything vanish.
Exactly.
If we're in that position now, I honestly think it's going to be different. Because then again, like last season, I'm one of the few fans that'll tell you we were horrible from like September to January. We weren't playing good football. It's basically what this whole set piece thing that saved our season. Because we would just start games. And one nasty header, one nasty delivery, we scored a goal, and it will be you can control the game.
Gabriel.
Yeah, Gabriel. Today was Gabriel and Saliba. So I don't know if we can do what Liverpool did in 2020. But that's you're asking for too much because winning those amount of games consecutively, it's like, man, I don't know. I don't see. Maybe this year, it will be the same thing as last season. A few teams can knock City off, but City went on a win streak from the end of December to May. I'm like, how can you flog any manager for not being able to touch that? Like,
I know, but
quietly. And one thing that they do that I'm not gonna fall trap to is Pep has managed to always make himself go unnoticed. Like, they went on a win streak from December to the end of the season, and they only dropped points against us when we
when you went to the Etihad.
I think you and Liverpool as well. They dropped points against.
Yeah, they dropped points to us and Liverpool, and it was like so quiet. Meanwhile, our own win streak was being paraded everywhere, maybe to put more pressure on the players. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting, like Payo says, because Pep, you guys see all his interviews. He's like, oh, United and Arsenal are spending, but
Yeah.
or him saying that, oh, he's excited for the new season. Like, the guy is just nasty.
nah,
He's definitely a psychopath. But this is a good segue because one of the other few teams to have had a lead on Pep and actually get the job done as far back as 2017. The mighty have fallen now. We're not talking about league titles anymore. We ain't talking about.
That's Ama's league title right there.
we ain't talking about Champions League. We ain't talking about Club World Cup. We're now talking about unlocking Enzo. So, Ama, what is your forecast on the season? Because we've had Adam's opinion. Adams is a bit more of a mixed bag. He's willing to be patient with the manager. He's willing to see what Enzo Maresca is all about. And I know you're more of a legacy fan. Let's see what the difference is in your outlook for what's coming up in the season and what you guys. I would get into the transfer rumors, but I mean, can we? We would need 3 shows to get into Chelsea's transfer business. But I think the main one is the Neto signing. I think that's probably the one that walks straight into your team. So maybe we address the Neto signing. We can disregard all the NPCs, and we can focus on the Neto signing, what your expectations are, and what would make you say, get Maresca out of here. Like, what is the thing that you feel like would be just too much to bear? That's worse than 12th from 2 years ago. But yeah, go ahead.
First of all, speaking of Club World Cup, we're gonna be in Club World Cup. Speaking of Champions League, we do have one in this decade. So, but it's okay. It's all right. Well, it's okay. That's fine. That's just by the wayside. As far as expectations go for Chelsea, I think it's very straightforward. You really have to get back at top forward. I don't think there's no other conversation. That's the shortest conversation, in my opinion, for as far as like Chelsea goes. And I say that because, we have a team that was very hilarious to watch throughout the course of the season last year, I would say. It was one of the fun. I think this season, the only season that was funnier than this season was 2016. And that was because we actually finished 10th that year. This season, we actually got 6th and last season, sorry, we finished 6th. And, we got to a cup final and we got to, semifinal in the FA Cup. So topsy-turvy, but I think going into this year, we're healthier, so I think getting some key guys back is almost going to feel like getting new signings, because we had guys that pretty much didn't even play at all last year almost. So I think that helps us. And of course, like, we're banking on the usuals from last season, maintaining somewhat of that same level, or at least like the drop off not being too much. And as you mentioned as well, we also added Neto to that mix. And I think that's a very good signing as long as we can keep him healthy. He's obviously there because we fumbled Elise, tears. But, Neto's a great signing too. I think with him, think he's a better decision maker, I would say, than the rest of the wingers that we have. And I think that alone will, help him like play himself into like that starting lineup. So yeah, I think with us, top four, like
I've heard he has less Premier League goals than Maguire. I haven't confirmed it, but
yeah. We didn't sign him for goals though, so that's like you can't say that you're looking around and even if anybody was gonna sign Neto, right? Like no one was gonna sign him for goals.
So you're not signing a winger for goals.
No, we're not.
So what are you signing him for?
Signing a winger to be able to be creative, because as you can see, we employ some of the least creative, worst decision-making wingers. And you can shake your head all you want to, because I know at the end of the day, you only want Chelsea downfall, and that's fair. I ain't tripping on that. But I'll be real with you. We watched Raheem Sterling last year. So you can't tell me that those decisions that Sterling made in multiple of these games didn't cost us those 5 points between us finishing sixth and getting top four. So, and that is still with a gazillion injuries, and Nkunku, who's supposed to be one of our more important players, pretty much, working from home. So like, so at the end of the day, like what I'm saying here is if you can manage to not have guys like Sterling making decisions as much as they did last year, and you have key guys like Nkunku coming back in the mix, Reece James, who, by the way, that report's not a real report. Y'all know that. Did y'all read that actual report or no? Did anybody read it? He's not actually injured, right? Like, so what it is
they're just managing his injury.
Yeah. But blase. But him also being back, back in the mix as well. I think that bodes I think that's going to be more beneficial for us than detrimental. Now, we do have a new coach, yes, and everyone keeps raving about the new coaching system, but I've watched. There's really not much of a difference between what we're doing under Maresca and what Poach decided to do. I want to say like after the March international break last season, when he knew that he was leaving. So
yeah, he's inventing a lot.
Yeah.
Isn't Maresca Argentine as well?
No, he's Italian. He's Italian.
Okay.
He's Italian.
I mean, they're all from the Pep coaching tree. So
yeah. Maresca is more Carlo though, but yeah, sure. Yeah. But
one thing I do want you at least to talk about is just like every other Chelsea season. I think since I've met Amma, the main theme with Chelsea season is always injuries. For some reason, they always get a lot of injuries. And then you're going to go sign someone like Neto, who doesn't have the best injury record. I mean, Reece James, that's why they're able to catfish. Guys like Fabrizio are able to catfish people, because if you put injury next to Reece James, if I'm looking at that, I'm like, I'm just going to believe it, because the guy, I haven't seen him play consecutive games. Do you think this is something that is a coaching thing that like this season where, because if you get a bunch of injuries, that literally kills any steam that you might have starting the season, and now you're going to have to rely on guys like Sterling again. If the guy gets hurt, it'll be the same guy. So I don't know if it's something like your fan base is worried about still this season with like the whole injuries and all that.
I think that's a good question, and I think I wouldn't even use the term worried about as far as like the fan base and how we feel about injuries. I think it's one of those things where it's happened so much that, how when you have somebody like an unwanted guest that shows up, right? And that first time it's like, why are you here? But after a while, you're like, okay, this person's just here. That's how we look at injuries. It's like, oh, it's just okay, cool. Like, like at this point, like, Uzo was talking about how, if you get into the Chelsea's transfer window or whatever, it would take multiple podcasts. But honestly, like if I deep dive into why we've suffered so many injuries, Reece James is a perfect example. It goes all the way back to Tuchel, right? And that's just like, there's a way that players are supposed to be managed when they pick up serious injuries. And it also affected Chilwell too. That's the reason why Chilwell has fallen off over the years. The big difference was Reece James was able to recover from injury and still kind of play to that same level that he was at before. But Chilwell, not the same. Not the same. And that's just mismanagement of injuries. But that's a by the wayside thing. To answer the question, yes, we are 1,000,000,000% worried about injuries. But at the same time, I think towards the end of last season, I think a huge reason why we were able to push and get that sixth position, and we were in Europa League until a certain guys from a certain side of the map decided to, spoil the party at the end. I think we were getting a bit healthier towards the end of the season. We got Nkunku back towards the end of the season. Reece actually came back towards the end of the season. Reece is a funny guy, because he came back. He helped us win a crazy game. He played at Forest away. And then he got suspended the next game. He's the most hilarious guy, man. He's the most hilarious guy. So I think, and of course, like Cole Palmer had the season of his life last year that absolutely nobody, including my guy to the right of me here. Sorry, wait, I'm pointing the wrong way. To the right, yeah, him right here was calculating how many minutes he played when we signed him last summer. I'll never forget.
Let me give you one more calculation I just did on the side, and I have to say, George said something that triggered me a little bit there, right? So, George, let me pull up the statement what you just said. What are you signing a winger for if it's not for goals? Well, let me tell you one thing. In a combined 112 appearances, you spent 170 million on Jadon Sancho Anthony to get 9 assists total in their entire Premier League career. Pedro Neto last season alone in 11 got 9 assists. So, all I can say is in 120 less appearances, Pedro Neto has matched the 170 million pounds worth of winners, elite winners, Champions League winners, Eric Ten Hag's babies. 9 assists, man. Come on.
So like I was saying, he wasn't being signed here to score goals.
Here's the difference. Here's the difference. I don't go into the season, right, saying, "Oh, we're bringing in Jadon Sancho for vibes." I don't go in saying that. Like,
is that what I said about Neto?
You say you're not signing for goals, but you didn't tell me what you're signing for.
No. My saying that we didn't sign him for goals was a direct response to you saying you don't sign a winger for goals. That's not what I said. Okay, I said decision making, and I use Sterling as the prime example. So Sterling against Wolves away, 2v1. Palmer to your right, didn't pass the ball. We lose that game. Villa at home, 2v1. Nicholas Jackson, 3v1. Nicholas Jackson and Palmer. You could have passed to him. He could have passed to him. They could have cycled the ball back twice and still scored.
So you're telling me we
lost these games. I'm telling you, who finished fourth last year? Wasn't it Aston Villa? Okay then. Okay then.
No, you can't allow George to talk to you. Anthony put out a comp.
No. That's my question.
That is always that comp of him.
Okay, so let's talk Chelsea business.
I mean, but let's be honest. Anthony did say that this season you're going to hear his name mixed with goals and assists. Not just goals.
When I read that, I wanted to just go in there and just remove his lips, bro.
His name is Anthony G.A.
His G.A. bro. That's it. Just games and appearances. That's a serious guy. But anyway, with us, I think overall though, like I think top 4 is definitely gettable. Is there? Liverpool have a new coach just like us, but I think they have Salah and Jota and these guys are a little bit more like established players as far as like senior football or whatever. And I think that would give them the slight edge in being able to like transition better. So they'll probably get 3rd. But I think in that 4th slot, I think we'll get 4th. Yeah, I think we're there. Yeah.
Nice.
I love this season because there's a lot of teams that have a legit claim to 4th.
Mm-hmm.
And no one has like a leg up on the other person where it's like, well, you should have got it. or
Right, yeah. Especially going into the season too, because all these like us, United too, were decimated with injuries.
Leads lead to fourth.
Hey, all of them, man. Honestly, I think third is open too, and that to me will be that will determine third to me is
I agree. I think Slut is going to have.
yeah,
He's going to have a good start and a good transition.
yeah. It's how he handles the season. Yeah,
38 game season, anything can happen.
yeah. So I think honestly, third is open. That's why I feel like it could go any way. So
What gets him sacked in your opinion?
what gets in sack?
Yeah.
Oh, if you finish below sixth, if you did worse than Poach, you have to leave. You have to leave.
Perfect.
You know how I feel about Poach. I hated him the entire season, but I didn't hate him for like what the reason why everybody else hated him. Like everybody hated him because ex-Spurs. I was actually more receptive to the guy when he showed up. I started hating him because of what, again, I mentioned earlier, what he did after the March international break, which was he started to now show tactical flexibility. He refused to do it when we absolutely needed it, like earlier in that season. He didn't do it. So that was my big issue with him. Like, it was small little things that he could have done with those same players that he just didn't do. And he would just be, saying all XYZ about why he didn't do it. And then eventually he started to do it, and we started seeing better results. And it was just like, why did we play like a certain way all through preseason? And then one or two guys get hurt, and you tried to like abandon it. Why not continue playing that way at least? So at least guys have that sense of like foundation and familiarity, So I think like we had to have a whole nother preseason going into that season because Nkunku and Carney Nkunku got hurt in preseason. So. But I think with Maresca, what he's doing a little bit differently is he spent all of preseason playing every kind of system you can imagine. Like every formation, used almost as many guys as he could to just kind of try whatever. But I think the baseline of what he wants to do, you can definitely see it. Like you can see that level of understanding between the players. Now it's just a matter of these guys just getting familiar with it with themselves. And I think if you go based off how they were and in the last season going into this season, I think we should be fine this season, barring no injuries.
That works. The season definitely is not going to be kind to you guys. You start off at City or at home to City, so
we actually start off playing the Europa Conference League playoff game.
We don't care about this. We don't care about this. Respectfully, we don't care about this. Respectfully.
Oh man.
So our other Liverpool fan, not Riam fan, our other Liverpool fan who is Riam, we've heard Pius say that he thinks that top four is the bare minimum for Slot to get in his first season. That is kind of lofty in terms of taking over a team for your first season. But we also know this is the mighty Liverpool. Top four has kind of been bare minimum for these set of players. He's inheriting a squad of world-class players and a squad with a lot of depth. So what do you think about Slot's expectations going into the season? And also, what do you think is kind of the thing that will make you feel like you can't be successful here, we got to move on?
You're not going to like my answer on this one, but before I get to that, I got to say, the end of last season drained me so much. I don't think I've ever been more drained watching Liverpool season, and we finished third with a trophy, right, with a Carabao Cup, which was Eric Ten Hag's best ever season apparently as well. Just ahead, right? But it was bad last year. It's to the point where I don't think I remember anything that happened after the Atalanta game. I remember once I chose sleep over the West Ham kickoff. I woke up with it on, and I can see like Klopp and Salah like arguing with like my misty eyes or whatever. And then that week, Kendrick dropped Euphoria, so I just became full-time DJ Academics for the next 3 months after that. So there was no point to last season, and I am just ready to see what we do this year. But in terms of not liking my answer, sorry, say that again.
You forgot the FA Cup loss.
No. Oh God! Well, actually, do you know what? That was as soon as Ahmad scored that goal. You can pull that clip of that old man. I'm rapidly falling out of love with football, to be honest. But it was so bad. I marched through June of this year, the worst 3 months ever being a Liverpool fan. I could not stand it. But I don't really know what to say because Uzo, I think you made a great point. There is a good 3, 4, even 5 teams that could make third or fourth here, and I don't really know who's gonna take it ahead. I think that Slot is going to play pretty similar football to Klopp, and that's nice. The lack of signings worries me a little bit, but I'm also a big believer, and I like the way FSG do business. I know that's an unpopular opinion, but they don't splurge too quickly. And I think even though he was good last year, I don't think Caicedo would have done anything for us that we needed. I think it would have been a waste of money, and it would have put a bit of pressure on us. So I'm happy to see what the squad does under Slot this season. Injuries can change a lot for us. If we lose, I know it was.
What do you think about the links to Zubimendi?
So I'll be so honest with you. I've watched maybe one half of football from that guy. It was the Euro final where I was, very much wanting England to win. So I don't know very much about him. If I could have said maybe we bring in like a Rodri type of DM or maybe Declan Rice, I don't know, might have settled me a little bit more. But I like the idea of McAllister and him playing together in a pivot. That would be pretty fun. I think there's a formation change as well with Slot. And someone said it. I don't know how Klopp hasn't played with a 10 yet. Because we have about 3 or 4 guys in the squad that can play that. And we just shipped out Carvalho as well. So to kind of cut this short slightly, because I know we're running out of time, I think we're going to finish 4th. I don't think there's a position that Slot finishes the season where I'd be unhappy. And that goes as far as if we finish 10th even. You know what? I'm ready for the season off, to be honest. I'm ready for the biggest hate watch of the season. It's about time that we get some time to have some patience.
This is my favorite version of Riem.
Not finishing this past year, but he got us to 2 finals. So I think that should be an expectation. We should have some cup runs. But, the season's long, guys, right? If after match week 8, we've already lost 3 or 4 games or something, and it's looking really, really bad, honestly, I will take a 10th place finish at that stage because I know how you boys get whenever we're really down in the dumps. So, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, it took an hour and 22 minutes, but we finally got our 1 season off. Taking the season off.
Now, you need one of those.
Life
you need one of those.
life with Diaz and Gakpo.
Wataru Endo. Wow. He made such a what did Klopp play last year?
But to be honest, I was, privileged to watch you guys live. I'm sorry, man. Salah, I'm so glad you guys didn't give him to the Saudis. That guy is still in his prime. If Salah is healthy, stop all this nonsense about 10th place. Salah alone wins you 20 to 25 games. I mean, I was watching the preseason game with my dad this morning. Those Alisson, the long balls to Salah where he controls it and he passes it so quickly and he's moving. I mean, I saw him toast Gabriel and Zinchenko in a race, and the guy is what, 32?
Yeah.
Yeah, Rafi could toast him, bro. It's Zinchenko and Gabriel. I mean,
stop that.
I was gonna say the same thing, man.
Salah on your team.
The way Slot plays that long ball, like he likes to, it's sort of like it works, like it's not something too different.
What I'll say is some world-class players for you guys, unlike Feggy, Ops, for boys bringing Fellaini and Schneiderlin. All I'm saying, Klopp left
Maroon Fellaini. Bro, that has to be the worst change of ownership ever.
But see the trophies he left you. Staff can leave you with the worst players in the world, but from what he already gave you, you should be happy with what he gave you.
That doesn't make any sense.
Real sad.
Doesn't make any sense. Because Sav drained everything from the squad that he could get. Like, Chicks, when you cut the toothpaste in half and then you use your finger to scrape the inside? He gave him the bare bones.
Well, listen,
He told the guy, brush your teeth.
George, Peggy chewed the chewing stick till it was dust. I give for his first.
Bro, y'all remember that one? Y'all remember that one video where the guy's like eating the chicken bone and he's like, "I saw what?" That's
listen, like that has been happening even like 5 6-7 years before Fergie left because
Don't allow Joe to start talking about United.
Once we go back to the past, we got.
Yeah. But no, Salah on your team. That should be enough for you to be confident in top 4 race.
The thing is, I actually kind of feel Ram though, like in terms of if the guy shows enough on the pitch, there really isn't a bare minimum for a new manager. Like if we're all being honest, it's just kind of recently where we've seen like teams like the fact that Grant Potter got sacked mid-season is still kind of crazy. Like because he got hired mid-season and got sacked mid-season. That is unheard of. Usually you should be allowed to get away with anything if you get signed mid-season. He left Brighton.
You know what's even worse?
You know what's even worse? He got sacked in the same season.
You know what's even worse? We fired him after we beat Dortmund in Champions League.
Yeah, after a win. So for me, I definitely understand teams not being willing to part ways. But this brings us to the star of the show. We're going to do our predictions. This lives on forever. We're going to always refer to this episode when guys start to wish-wash and switch stands and flip-flop. When Pi starts doing that, his interesting twists and turns. We ain't hearing none of that. We're going to go back to these predictions. So I did send everyone a link to formulate their predictions. If you didn't do it on the link, that's fine. We'll just go word of mouth. But I'm going to start, of course, starting at the top and going across. Pius, what are your official top 10 predictions for the 2024-2025 season?
Right. Okay. Let me start with the champions. I think.
Are you going to share screen or are you going to just say word of mouth?
No, word of mouth. Word of mouth.
Okay.
Sorry, I couldn't. I wasn't able to. So word of mouth. I think the champions this season. I think it's going to be Arsenal. I think Arsenal wins it. I think Arsenal wins it. I think Arsenal win it. I'll say City runners up. This is where it begins to get interesting, right? Third position, right? I think there's good vibes coming out of Manchester United. I despise them, but there's good vibes coming out of there. I'm not going to say. I'm going to say third and fourth. I don't know the order, but I think Liverpool and United third and fourth. It could be Liverpool third or United fourth or United fourth, Liverpool third. So that is it. You can fill in the gap for yourself, but that's how I see it. Fifth, I think it's going to be. I think that's where Spurs are going to be. Fifth, Uzo. Fifth will be fine for you. Chelsea, yeah, you'll be sixth again this season, I think. Though I'm a bit worried for Chelsea, though. I'm worried about Aston Villa. You know, who knows? They look good. What's his name? Unai Emery. You know, some good signings. Amadou Onana. We'll see. So I'm thinking Chelsea sixth, Villa seventh. 8th, 9th thing. I'm not sure. Maybe Newcastle and 9 and 10, and I'm not sure. Can help me fill in the gap there. So those are my predictions.
You get the big 6 teams in, we're good. If 9th and 10th, we can disregard that. Yeah. Okay, so we got Arsenal, Liverpool, City, and United top 4. Let's cook. I like where this is going. You know what? I actually want to skip over Cheeks because, listen, there's a method to the madness here. I know what is about to happen. So I'm going to go in a randomized order. Let's go with Riam next.
All right. So this was a hard one. So I'll start with 10th. I put Crystal Palace. I think they gosh, I'm trying to think. They lost. I can't off the top of my head remember. Alicia. But there's rumors that Zaha's coming back. I think they've kind of retained the same squad, and I'm glad they're pretty good with them towards the end of the season. So I have them for 10th. Mateta might still be pretty good. 9th, I have Aston Villa, actually. Yeah, it's a big call on that one. And I'm going to say 9th through 3rd, I could genuinely see any of these teams finishing anywhere, but I have Aston Villa there because Diaby's gone, and they replaced him with Cameron Archer. who did play for Villa before he went to Sheffield United, but didn't really do anything there. I like him; he's a good player. But Onana's a good player. To replace Douglas Luiz, who took the penalties, took the free kicks, stole a lot of assists from corners. I don't know. Onana's a good player, though. But Champions League football, they get a group of death as well. I really don't know. I don't think they're going to hold up this season very well. But ninth is not a bad place, considering I think how competitive it's going to be. Eighth, I have Chelsea. I just don't know if it's going to click. I don't know if it's going to click. I think there's going to be too many injuries. I don't know if I believe in Maresca that much. You're going to be, I'm sorry, you're going to be still trying to fit this 120 million liability Enzo Fernandez into the team. You're wasting a spot of 3 or 4 good midfielders that could be in there. But I think Pedro Neto's a good signing. If he gets injured, I really don't know at this point. 7th, sorry, Georgie boy, I've got Man United there. I just think that the Euro being injured for 3 months, not sure how De Ligt's going to do with all these different centre-back partners. It's going to be tough, but I think you're going to make a good go. I think 7th onwards, or 8th onwards, Chelsea, I think there's only going to be maybe 6 to 10 points in it, maybe between top 4. So 5th and 6th for Europa League. In 6th place, I have Newcastle. I think they got Gahey in, and someone like Harvey Barnes, he's coming back from injury. I think they're going to be pretty good. No Champions League football, no European football as a whole. So distraction-free, I like Eddie Howe, and Isak is one of the best strikers in the league. I think he's going to do great. 5th, this is my big call right here. I have West Ham at 5th. I think that Fulkrug...
I knew it. I fucking knew it.
I think Fulkrug is an enormous upgrade on Antonio. They signed Max Kilman as well to put at centre back. I think the only other big guy they lost was Ben Johnson, who's a right back. He went for free to Ipswich, I think. So I think West Ham are going to do pretty good.
They got Todibo as well, I believe, centre back. They got Todibo as well.
Yeah.
Todibo.
Todibo, yes, the centre back. So a whole
that Wan-Bissaka signing too. That's the kind of team that needs someone like Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah,
just defend and be a terror. They don't care about moving, inverting. What's that? Just defend.
I'll speed up real quick. So for my 4th place, Uzo, I have Ange Ball. I think he's going to do pretty good this year. Solanke's a good signing. I do think Richarlison's quite a good striker. If he can get you 10 goals, Richarlison off the bench, I think you've got some good depth there. It's looking pretty nice. 3rd place, I got Arne Slot. I think we're going to do all right. I think we're going to get 3rd place, same as last year, but I don't have any expectation for the title. Chooks, I'm going to have to go 1st place over 2nd. I got my Gunners. I think you guys are going to do it this year. But as Uzo said 2 years ago, it's no excuses, just win at this point, right? I've got City finishing 2nd. I think they're a little jaded. They don't need to win a league. We won a league on a one-off, and then, it revitalized City after that. Just get your league, get your parade trophy, and then that's it. You don't have to do anything after that. We just want you to win one league over City. And I think this year you're going to do it. So, yeah, for my top 4, Arsenal, City, Liverpool, Tottenham, West Ham, Newcastle, 5th and 6th, and then United, Chelsea, Villa, Palace in that order.
I knew what I was doing. The spirit whispered to me. I knew what I was doing. Hey, listen. If you never hear anything out, if the stream crashes after this, you've been fed. The audience has been fed. Are you not entertained? 7th and 8th, bring. You know what? I was honestly I was gonna go with Ama next, but now I'm definitely gonna go with Ama next. Ama, what are your predictions after hearing Graham's predictions? Bring. Nah, that was awesome. That was awesome.
Anyway, so top 10 predictions, the real top.
Let's all start from 10 to the bottom. That was perfect.
Yeah. Okay. So 10th, I do have Crystal Palace as well. They did lose Olise, but Mateta is kind of reaching that age where strikers kind of start entering their prime, and Eze, I feel like, is gonna have another extra step this season, but that'll, and then Zaha's coming back, so they should be in that 9th, 10th. I do also have Villa falling all the way down to 9th as well, just because that Champions League football, it's going to be tough on their squad. They did lose a few quality players as well. Now they did add Onana and Ross Barkley, But no Diaby on the wings. Bailey, usually, is always in and out of the squad because he's never really that healthy. Morgan Rogers is a nice little like up and coming guy on their squad. And then I think, it's just gonna be too much for them, in my opinion. Just same thing that happened in Newcastle last season, just too much. And then eighth, I got Newcastle. Just because I believe I don't remember his name. It's not Fabian Scher. It's the other guy that usually I think it's Botman. I think he's like out to like December. They're gonna be playing with Dan Burn. That defense is gonna be food, man. So yeah, and Trippier is falling off, and I mean Eddie Howe might end up going to Livramento Lewis Hall, but Dan Burn is still food, So I think at the end of the day, they'll be all right. They'll start off the season hot, but then they'll eventually level off. At seventh, I guess this is for Conference League. I got West Ham. They built the perfect Conference League team. They'll be right there. They'll give everyone hell when you play them, and yeah, they'll score. Kudus and Bowen and Fulkrug and those guys are gonna be terrorizing people this season for sure. That's not a game that West Ham away. That's not a game no one's going to be looking forward to. Not at all. So at sixth, I have United. I think it'll be a little bit of improvement from last year. I think unfortunately, like injuries to like key players, especially like starting off the season, will kind of like hamper how well they could hit the ground running. So, but I think like eventually, like it will like click. They'll kind of have a similar season to us last year. It'll like click towards like the end, and I think that'll help them like get sixth. Fifth, I got Liverpool. I got Slotty Ball coming in at fifth. I think Trent is gonna have an amazing season this year. But unfortunately, I think that's gonna leave that defense wide open because he's gonna have such an amazing season this year. And he's gonna have a lot of responsibilities to create. So I think it's one of those that going into the season, fully okay with giving up goals, but they strongly believe that they're going to be able to outscore whoever they play. So it's like prime Phoenix Suns basketball, like we don't care that we're giving up 130 points if we're scoring 145, like we don't care. So that's how I feel like it's going to be with Liverpool. Fourth, I got us finishing fourth this year. Well, actually, no, I lied. No, I got Spurs finishing fourth this year. I'm tripping. I have Spurs finishing fourth this year. I think Dirty Dom with Sonny Boy, I think that's good enough for fourth this year. And, I think Slot is going to have, not Slot, I'm tripping. All these guys all look and sound the same. Ange is going to have a much better season this year.
My coach actually has hair, so respect.
Yeah. Sorry, my bad. But I think Edge's gonna have a better season this year. I think he was trying to do a lot of work with like a lot of Conte's players last season, and it looked a little weird. And of course, like they lost Harry Kane, so that was a big loss for them. But I think now Solanke, who's already, proven that he can hold his own in the league, up front, I think that's one of those things that's going to help more than hurt. So, yeah, I think that's enough to push him into fourth. And I know I think you guys are in Europa League too, right? Yeah, I think my hot take is I think Spurs can get to like last four in Europa League this year. That's my hot take with them. I think they can go that far. Who else? And then us. I think we're finishing third this year. The reason I say that is because I think Reece James coming back, playing more, and Kunku being more involved. And I also think that we still have one or two more moves left to make in this transfer window up front. So once it's done, at that point, it'll make more sense. But I think right now I'm going to say third for where we finish. But that's my prediction. Second, I have Arsenal. I got Arsenal finishing second again this year. And the reason I say that is because I think Arsenal's in a weird spot, right? Like they're in a spot where they honestly like it's fun to slander them in a way. But they're just in a weird spot. Like Chooks mentioned, like City went undefeated, like from like December of last season all the way to like the end. They I think we played them away. It was 1-1, and then they drew to Arsenal as well, and then I think Liverpool as well too. So it's like with Pep, like I don't see that stopping at all. Like I don't think Roger fell off. I don't think Foden fell off. Like I don't think Holland fell off as much as shtick that people like to give him. But I don't think he fell off. And I think like adding marginal players, as I would refer to them right now, like guys like Oscar Bob, I think like filling in these small little gaps, I think that'll help them more in the longer run of things. Because with City, it's, they play in every competition. They're usually in every, cup run almost to the end. So it's just about having enough bodies to play these games. And I also think they got one more move to make. They just saw Alvarez. So they got a lot of money in the bank right now to use. So they also have a move to make. And I think they will make one. I'm just praying it's not Musiala. But but yeah, I think City is gonna end up, unfortunately, pulling off another one. So yeah.
So we've got City first, Arsenal second,
Chelsea
third, Spurs fourth, Liverpool fifth, and United
sixth. Yeah.
And West Ham, Palace.
West Ham seventh. Yeah.
West Ham, Newcastle, Villa, and then Palace.
Palace, yeah.
Okay.
No United in the top 10.
United is top
six.
Is six.
United
six.
Yeah, six.
Who's been shot? I'm gonna go next. Because I want Chooks and George to close this out. So for me, mine is pretty straightforward. I already have it set. Last minute, right as soon as Ahmad said that he had City winning it, I almost changed my order, but I'm sticking to it because I made it in good faith. So starting from the bottom, I got 10th. I've got Fulham. I don't believe in Crystal Palace. I think that Crystal Palace, I think losing Olise and possibly losing someone else in either Gehi or Eze is going to be very crucial for them. And I think that I like the business that Fulham have done, and they're playing with so much freedom, so much happiness. I absolutely love that team. They're going to be my second team this season. At ninth place, I've got Newcastle. I just flat out don't believe in them. I never have. I've only been proven right season after season, and I promise you I will be proven right again. And all of you guys have got them in top 7 or whatever the hell you got them in. We're gonna talk. So I've got Newcastle at 9th. I've got West Ham at 8th, but they could easily be 7th. This is primarily because of my belief in Unai Emery. But I think West Ham are good. New coach, so it might be a bit of an adjustment, but they absolutely have a killer squad. 7th, I've got Villa. Of course, I already leaked that. I think Champions League is going to be a bit too much. I don't think that they have the depth, but I absolutely believe in Unai, and I know that he can rescue the season. I think they'll be down and out early, but then they'll claw their way back up. In 6th, Georgie boy. I got Georgie. With United is really just the injuries. I think losing Euro for them for that amount of time, losing Højlund for that amount of time, I just feel like it's bad. And Delete feels like another Maguire kind of signing for me. He's slow. He doesn't turn very well. He's good on the ball, but people forget Maguire is also good on the ball. It's something that it's an underrated part of his game. But when it comes to agility and being able to stay with your man, I just don't believe in him. And I think that it's just going to be too tough a ask for anything higher than 6th for good old boys United. At 5th, I've got Chelsea. I think if Maresca is above average, 5th is absolutely the minimum that Chelsea should expect. It's a very talented squad. They're also in the Conference League, so they're not going to have to worry about midweek games. They can send David Washington and them guys to go handle that. And I think they'll have a good season. I think the distance between 5th and 3rd is going to be very, very marginal. At 4th, I've got Spurs. I have to back my team. I think we can easily be fifth, but I've got Spurs at fourth because I just think that the continuity helps us. Big Ange, I don't know. I don't know, man. Honestly, this is pure hopium. In third, I've got Liverpool. I think they're the third best team by far. I just think when you look at the squad, it's too good. Klopp or no Klopp, I feel like anybody can coach that team. I think even Pep Linders could have coached that team. It's a really good squad. They have a lot of world class. I think they're one of the few teams in the league who have multiple world class players, and that counts for something. I think they'll get third. And honestly, if one of the top two teams slip up, I think Liverpool can actually get second. In second, I got Arsenal. I'm sorry. I backed Arsenal all summer, and I thought they were going to win it, but I changed my mind after the Community Shield. I think Pep is just crazy and psycho enough to do it for the fifth time in a row. And I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I can't see I can't see any other outcome. I just can't. I think Arsenal are going to push them absolutely to the max. But how do you go against that? You know what I mean? How do you go against that? So I've got Pep number one, Arsenal second, and rounding out my top four, I've got Liverpool and Spurs, and United and Chelsea going to the Europa League. And yeah, the Big Six is back. Top six, Big Six, all of the above. The way I'm going to do the last one, I'm going to go George first. Because I know Chooks is going to have I know whatever Chooks says is going to trigger George, and I don't want him to be able to respond. So I'm going to have George go with his predictions first, and then we'll have Chooks close out the prediction. So, George, the floor is yours.
Well, let me start by saying Ahmad's already triggered me. He's a fool. The guy.
Rhea did trigger you, putting you seventh?
No, it's Ahmad that triggered. He thinks Chelsea signing players means points in the table. He thinks they sign, they will add them points. That's what he thinks. I think Chelsea will finish third. Bro, come on, man. But anyways, let me just start by mine. I think in 10th place, honestly, is gonna let me just start by saying, like, I think this is actually a season where, like, if you look from manager number 1 to the 20th, every single manager there is a reputable manager. Like, literally, I saw like a list on Premier League, whatever, where they showed all the managers together, and I was just scrolling. I'm like, every single one of these managers can do something.
Well, everyone except Enzo Maresca. I think he's the one with the least pedigree. No offense.
Okay.
We don't. He's the only one that's an unknown quantity.
Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like this season is gonna be like probably one of the most competitive wise, like in terms of like numbers. Like you guys were saying, like 3 to 9, it literally can be flipped. You can, if you slip up 2-3 games, it might just change your season. So I think this is gonna be a very interesting season. In 10th place, I do have Brighton. I feel like them signing Max Weaver and Baleba in that midfield. I don't know. I just feel like I feel like they beat out Crystal Palace just because, like, if you lose Olise, like, I don't know. I don't think you can replace that. And I think Crystal Palace just finished above Brighton last season, like barely, like maybe like 1 or 2 points. But I think Brighton coming in, and they're gonna have Ferguson back, like, fully, like, because I know he had some injury issues last season, but I think this season, like, and they still have like Simon Adingra and like everybody. So I think this season is gonna be a better season for them. I think they'll finish 10th over like Crystal Palace, Fulham, and Ipswich. And I really like Ipswich. Kieran McKenna, like, I think he's gonna be the the newcomer manager of the season, whatever. I don't know if there's a word for that, or young, whatever. But I like his style.
I wonder why.
United man. I bleed for him. So what I'm saying is, like, from what he did like last season and the season prior to go from League One to Championship and then to Premier League, come on, you can't put that past him. But anyways, Brighton at 10. At 9, I do have Newcastle. I don't know. The hype from 2 seasons ago, and then I just think they can't sustain it. Like I don't see. I think there's better teams, like that can finish above them. So that's why I literally just put them ninth. Isak is a very good player though, but I just think like they don't ginger me enough for them to be like any higher than that. Next, eighth place. This was literally a tie. It's literally between two teams where it was like 7 and 8. But Alma did trigger me, so I'll have to trigger him back. I put Chelsea at 8. The reason why I put Chelsea at 8 is not because like they're the reason why I put Chelsea at 8 is like I really think they're just gonna win a couple of games this year just because of like pure talent that they have in the squad. But like cohesion wise as a team, I don't think they get that far. Like, but they have a lot of good talent. They do. So I think like they're gonna win a lot of games. Like you'll see games where like game might end 2-1, 3-2 because you see some Cole Palmer like masterclass, which they did all last season. But it's like if they had Poch continue to this season, I would not put them 8. I would probably put them in the top 6, top 5, honestly. Just because like it's continuity. Like it's like if you just get a new manager, I just don't think they crack into the top 6. I'm sorry, bro. That's just what I think. I mean, it's just a prediction. Maybe sign more players. You can add more points to your final tally. So above Chelsea, I put Aston Villa. I really like what Amma said about Morgan Rogers. That guy, I think he's a very, very good player, upcoming player. And those championship players where like nobody knows a little bit, and then they come into the league, and then they start taking the league by storm slowly by slowly. I think Morgan Rogers I think he's gonna be like one of the breakout players of the season. So, and that's why I think with that, Aston Villa will finish 7th. But with the Champions League and all that, I think that's why I don't put them any higher than 6th place or anything like that. In 6th place, I have to do West Ham. It's just because also like I like the manager Julen Lopetegui. It's just he's gonna bring. It's like he has industrious players, but he has like a technical side of coaching. So I feel like that will mesh well. When you have Fulkrog, I don't even know how to say his name well, but that guy's just industrial. But if you add, you have Bowen, you have Kudus, just surrounding him with like technical.
They also got Somerville.
And so Riam, that's our guy. Crescencio. So I really think West Ham, like honestly, like if they don't finish like top 7, like that was a bust. And like in the Premier League is very cruel. Teams like that do bust, like what I mean? Like you sign all these players and you like on paper everything looks well, and then you go into the season and you're just not well oiled and just you don't meet expectations. But I really think with the manager that they have, I think they can do something, and that's where I put them, in the top 6. 5th, I have to put Spurs. And honestly, to me, if I didn't meet Uzo, like Spurs will probably be like my second team. But since I met him, I can't like Spurs. But the thing Spurs do have though is like Kuti Romero is, to me, he's top 3 in the league. Like he's top 3 in the league. Like just because I even watched Copa America, right? And I watched most of Argentina's game. And I was initially watching just to watch Lisandro Martinez. But I saw the way Romero was commanding like that back line against, playing in South American teams, you don't know what to expect. There's no organized anything. And for Kuti Romero to just be like very calm and just organizing everything like that, I just think he carries Spurs like, into the top 5. I don't think they make top 4. I mean, it's very like if they miss out on top 4, it's probably by 1 point. Like I said, every game matters in the league this year. So that's why I said if you start off slowly, I don't think you can catch up. I feel like if you started like a few draws going into the season, I just think it's going to be hard to catch up just because every single team in that top 10, they will steal points and just, be going and don't care about you. This is not like the seasons before where like, oh, you didn't start off well. All right, let's wait till December. Let's make some sign-ins and, recharge. if you by like we were saying by December's, we're gonna have managers fired, teams that we know are like gonna be already in relegation races. So it's gonna be a very interesting season. Obviously, in fourth, it pains me to say, but this is where my team is at right now. We're not top three, and we're not bottom. We're not 5 and 6 or fourth. And the reason why I say United is fourth is just because I combine Ten Hag's first season and the second season and basically kind of just average it out for me. First season was a great season. I had after the first season, if you ask me my predictions for the second season, you wouldn't want to hear it from me because it was very high. I was talking crazy. But for this year, I think fourth place. I think we'll get fourth place, but I think it will take the season will go all the way to 35, 36, 37 week, that week. We won't know we'll finish fourth until literally 2 games before type deal. I don't think we'll be a clear favorite to get that fourth spot, but I feel like with the players we have and the players that we signed, even with Yora's injury and things like that, I just feel that Ten Hag, especially with the new management behind him, because everyone doesn't understand. The people that were with Ten Hag last year are not the same people with him this year. So a lot
new cook, new electrician, new roof guy. Oh, that's points. Come on, like he said, every signing is a point. Every new roof technician, every new kitchen.
Hey, it's a point when they do it. It's a problem when we do it.
I honestly think if if we really could stay healthy with Bruno Fernandes, I think Bruno Fernandes can lead us to this top fourth place. I think we'll win another trophy this season. Whichever one it is, I will be there. If it's Europa League, I'll go. If we have to go to Uzbekistan, I'll go. FA Cup, I'll be in London. Carabao, I'll be in London. Please, I pray for you guys' sake, don't ever allow me to be in a title race where you guys know me, because it won't be good for anybody. You see, Chooks, he's already
Get this guy out of here, man.
This guy, he has 2 title races titles in his room.
Oh, the guy's trying to drag a title race title with me, brother.
But anyways, I think we'll finish fourth. Third place, it has to be Liverpool. What I said about new managers and things like that earlier about Chelsea, I think it's a little bit different with Liverpool, just because Uzo said earlier, those world-class players, it's not just world-class players, it's established in your club world-class players. Van Dijk has been there for a minute. Trent has been there for a minute. Mo Salah has been there forever. So it's when you have that, chemistry, it's they can get themselves out of water whenever they need to. You know what I mean? So, and even that season where you didn't have any center backs or whatever, Liverpool still they were still doing things here and there. You know what I mean? But I feel with this season, I just I don't know how. I don't like Dominic Szoboszlai playing number 10. I don't know how that's gonna work. I mean, whatever. I don't watch Liverpool, as well like that. But I do think you guys will finish third, and I think you guys will be a crucial part of the season, taking points from Arsenal over there. I think when Arsenal comes to, they'll come to your ground. They won't leave with nothing. Arteta needs to play double attempts to get his.
I like how he didn't say Old Trafford, because love you,
guy. I'm doing Liverpool predictions. But anyways, I think Liverpool finished third, and I think they do it comfortably as well, honestly. Second place. No matter what you tell me, Arsenal's finished second. City is just way too good. We know this. Arsenal is just gonna finish second, and I told Uza before, if they don't sign that striker that can win them games randomly, I don't think they win the league. And obviously, with our league leaders, they're gonna do 5 in a row. I'm gonna go cry. it is what it is. You know, City's gonna be champions until Pep leaves, and I'm sorry. So that's my prediction.
All right, so quick recap. We've got City first, Arsenal second, Liverpool third, and United fourth.
Yes.
I love how we've all snuck our teams into the top four. Guys, I think you're muted. What were you saying?
Gotta back your team, man.
Yeah. That's
So, I think the common theme among the predictions so far is Liverpool in third.
Yeah. Hey, listen, slutty ball, man, is the new sensation, the new hotness. All right, so we're ending up with Chooks in terms of predictions. Chooks, free those. Everybody has been going into soliloquies about Newcastle.
Yeah, you know me. I don't.
Just
I don't.
speak through those guys. You know what we're here for.
I don't do that.
You know what we're here for. So
and-
get to the predictions. Let's cook.
10-8. I have Fulham, West Ham, Newcastle. I don't really want to start talking about Full Krug. The guy missed the pen on his debut. I think the way he runs, man. Guys think somebody called Full Krug will come and dominate the league. Please. The reason why I even put Fulham in 10th place is they just signed the most dynamic midfielder available in the window. So, they'll cook. Now, the reason why we're all here. 7th place. Sorry, Georgie boy. I have United. You guys have gone to allow Ten Hag to sign more Ajax boys to an already damaged team. And you
That's
think
more points.
don't ever delete this podcast. Don't ever
and you
delete
think
this podcast.
you are going to do well this season. Please. Mazraoui. That's who you are bringing to prep. The leads that Jesus made lie down. Please. I just don't think they have done enough. Because the injuries they have already, man. Bruno's heels, blood. You will see blood on his toes.
No,
After
I want. You know what you said. You know when you said they haven't done enough. I want to see your reasons for the other two.
Bruno's toes will be bloody. The guy will play several match balls every game is played. Sixth, I have Villa, and Villa they've signed a bunch of guys, but I think Champs is playing Champions League, and we know Emery. He's gonna prioritize now that they can't go to Europa. The guy's gonna prioritize that. So I think Villa gets 6th. 5th place, I'm backing Maresca ball. I think Chelsea, just like George said, they signed enough players to survive on that injury bug where you have 45 players. If somebody gets right there between Mudryk, Sterling, Madueke, Les, Neto, Jackson, who else am I missing?
Palmer.
You're probably missing another 15. Don't worry.
A bunch of those.
Possibly Osimhen.
Yeah, possibly with Osimhen. They have enough. And I think fifth and fourth might.
See, Adams. I want the audience to know Adams is backstage saying Felix, bro. Where's the gun?
No,
you know what the gun?
It's the new update. That Samu deal is off, and we're supposed to be swapping Felix for Gallagher now instead of Samu.
Oh yeah,
that's why you said that.
Chelsea have a very, very exciting squad. 4th place, I think Ange has enough to cook. Just gave him big dome. I think Ange is gonna cook. 3rd place, Slot Ball. I saw it with my own eyes. You guys, funny enough, I think this season is gonna be another three-team title race. In my opinion, I don't know how long we'll go with the race. It might end in December or we'll prolong to March. I don't know, but I think having Salah, Trent, Van Dijk, Alisson as your core, come on, that's better than whatever Fergie left for David Moyes.
Guy.
Hey, I didn't ask you to talk. They say after me the podcast is ending. So Slot Ball, and the real reason why we're all here. I have to back my boys. I'm not going to talk about Pep. Fuck that guy. Sorry, Adams. Take it out of my check. I think this is the year. I have to back my boys. I can't come on this podcast and say we're going to finish second. Riam and Pius see the vision. I think this year, I was telling George offline, this is my last dance. #98 Jordan. If Pep does it again, I'll have to turn into George. and sit back and watch the guy terrorize the city of
But
Manchester.
you don't have nothing to back yourself. You have no trophies to back yourself, so you can't turn
What have you won since Pep came? You've been licking his remains. Look at you celebrating.
I have one more that
What?
Arteta has won. I have one more.
What have you won since Pep?
I have one more that Arteta has won. That's what I'm telling you.
What have you won since Pep came to this league? FA Cup.
More than Arteta.
George carried that FA Cup on his head like it was a calabash. Anyway, my prediction is Arsenal first, City second, Liverpool third, Spurs fourth. Chelsea fifth, and we don't care about the guys in Manchester. You guys signed Euro to damage him. You already carried the guy's ankle, George. You killed Euro like you killed Trav. Now you want to bring more Ajax ballers.
Listen.
Nah, George is funny, man, because I've been harping on the reason I think will be better is because we have two guys coming back from injury, and he keeps saying, "You think it's signing players? You think it's signing?" It's like, bro, are you listening to what I'm saying?
All I've heard is that Pep has ruined this league to the point that guy said, "What have you won since Fergie left?" And he said, "More than you have won."
Hey, we are farmers.
You know what? I wanted us to close on two things real quick, and it's going to be quick fire. No long talk, no explanation. One, who do you think is going to be the signing of the season? Two, say something extremely nasty about your rivals, knowing that they can't respond. I'm going to start us off, and we're going to go in order across the top. So Pius will be next, Chooks will be next, Amma, and so on. So for me, who I think is going to be the signing of the season, for me, I have to say it. I'm so sorry. I think it's going to be Big Dom. Dirty Dom, Dominic Solanke. I think he's going for 20 plus goals. I think he's going to announce himself. Let's get it. And as far as something nasty about my rivals, Arsenal, they employ a redacted. I can't say it on the platform because I don't want Adams to get demonetized. They employ a redacted. That's all I'm going to say. Pius, go ahead.
Yeah, so signing of the season, I don't know, it's still a tough one. Maybe you'll see me for Chelsea if it ever happens. I don't know. But on a serious note, I think if Liverpool gets Zubimendi, just like Riams mentioned, Zubimendi and McAllister will be a joy to watch. So hopefully, if we get Zubimendi, then Zubimendi to Liverpool. I don't have anything nasty to say about Man United. I'm sorry, nothing nasty.
Their manager is bald. Come on, say something, anything. They've killed Lenny Euro, the crackhead from The Wire. Come on.
Mazraoui will be a flop. That's what I can say.
We take those. Shoots.
There hasn't been too much signings, but one signing I do like is Amadou Onana. I don't think he'll be signed this season, but that's just one signing. Like maybe we can do this at the end of August when there are more signings. Now, something I want to say. Look at your camera, George. I'm happy where you are, and I'm happy where your standards are. That your ones you'll be here saying you can win the league, and I look at you saying minimum 6, 7. When you know deep down you're going to finish lower than that, and I'm happy. That means more to me than any league that I can win. That you are right where you are supposed to be. That's all I have to say.
Oh man, I'm
I think signing of the season. I do like that Solanke signing for Spurs as well. I think shoring up that striker position for them is a good move. I like that signing for them. Yeah, I think I would go with that one if I had to pick right now. But I agree with Chooks. We might need to do this again. Hint, hint.
Rim, what do you? Well, Amma, you haven't said anything nasty about your rival.
Oh man, how could I forget, man? The real meal. My rivals, Man United. See your faces, see your heads, see your elbows, see your shoulders, your kneecaps, all of that. See your toes, nasty toes. Yeah. I hope you enjoy Mason Mount. I want you to know one thing, George. I want you to know one thing. This is what I want you to understand, right? Mason Mount, all his starts at Wembley in the final, no wins. I woke up that morning. I looked at the lineup. I saw Mason Mount. I said, I know who's winning today. I want you to sit tight. I want you to understand that you have a new number 7. I want you to know that when you go to sleep and you wake up, Mason Mount is your number 7, bro. And we'll be there at the end of the season.
This thing has turned into the Comedy Central roast of George. Rim, go ahead.
It's not going to get any easier for him after this as well. I can tell you that. No. So for my signings, I've got 2. I've got Crescencio Somerville for West Ham. I think he's going to be fantastic. Also, I'm going to shout out your guy here, Archie Gray. I think he's going to be a really, really not Solanke. Solanke will be good. Don't get me wrong, but I think Archie Gray is going to transform in midfield. Honestly, James Madison's going to have more freedom. Sonny being able to go back out wide, Solanke and Richarlison up front, and a couple right wingers. You'll be fine. So those are my 2 signings. Now, asking me to hate on Manchester United is like asking me to feed my family. I will do it every opportunity I can get. Let me say, wow, it's so poetic that your £60 million defender that has, less than 60 appearances ever, injured within the first 5 minutes of touching a pitch. And that's just the Manchester United curse. The curse that started in 2013 when I'd heard things like, oh, Liverpool, you haven't won a trophy in 6 years. Liverpool, how many leagues have you won? Liverpool, stop talking about the past. It's been 20 years. It's 11 years since you won a league. And let me tell you, George, it's 11 years counting now. And I don't think anybody had United at number 1 this year. So maybe when we do 25, 26 predictions, maybe Anthony becomes a 100 million player. Maybe in the 26, 27 predictions, De Ligt has become the best centre-back in the world. And maybe in the 27, 28 predictions, Højlund is coming off of a world-class World Cup and he's becoming United star signing. But let me tell you, it's not going to be at least until the 2030s until we even see United making the title race. And I have loved every second of redeeming my childhood because the happiness I have felt in the last 13 years has been unmatched. And that's all I have to say, I'm afraid.
Oh man,
I wish I could retweet.
Nature is healing. Nature is healing.
Do you know what the best part about Joe's segment is? He has to pick one of us.
No, you know what? Actually, speaking to that, I'm going to give George a chance to respond to every single person who called him. So you have to say something nasty about Liverpool, Chelsea, and Arsenal since they all called you out.
Josh Cook!
But go ahead and tell us who your signing of the season is first, and then Cook, and we're going to go ahead and end the show.
That one is even erased my head. I don't even know anymore because you guys have attacked me. I don't even know who my signing of the season is anymore. With that being said, I would just say is Lenny Yoro because you guys are just attacking me here and there. So I would just pick him as the signing of the season. And you see that injury you guys are talking about. Don't worry. He will show you guys something. Don't worry. When he's coming back. He's coming back in November. He can still win the signing of the season. Don't worry. It's okay. I'm not. You know what? Let me take that back, actually.
When was the last time a center back won signing of the season?
Yeah, that's why I said let me take that back. Honestly, I feel like the most prominent signing this season has been Solanke, and I think he's the one that's gonna he's gonna get the most PR because if he's gonna be scoring goals and things like that, he's gonna elevate Spurs to either 4th or 5th, and easily I think he's gonna win signing of the season if he does what he's supposed to do. I like your mention, Riam, about Archie Gray. I was telling Uzo, I was like, bro, I love that player. That guy is my guy as well. So, and I've composed my tweets already for him about him, just in case people tell me, "Oh, you're claiming him now." I claimed him before, so nobody can tell me I did it. Anyways, with that being said, let me start with Rhea. You know, and counting, right? And counting. Technically, you have one Premier League title in 30, right? So even if I don't win to the 2030s, now I've already matched you. Now if I get that one in 2030, now I've matched you. Then what? So you did all that for me to, at the end of the day, still match you. At the end of the day, and I still match you. It's okay. You know, like the Liverpool thing is, I don't get too much into it. It's like I feel like honestly we're both in the same position. Yeah, I feel like we're honestly in the same position. You guys might have claimed your Premier League. What was it? 2018, 2019, whatever it was. 2020, COVID asterisks. I forgot. So if it wasn't for that COVID, you would not sniff that Premier League, man. So that's fine. You can take it 1 and 30. That's okay. You know what I mean? So you still haven't cleared us. We still have more than you Premier League titles. So until you get to that level, please. I don't even want to. I don't. It's like me replying to you doesn't even make sense for me because you. It's like when somebody that is like you don't care about is like always like trying to like get at you. You don't. It's like Chelsea. There's nothing Chelsea can do for me, bro. Like I'm trying to hate on Chelsea, but I can't because it's like
just remember the guy who pays the bills here is a Chelsea.
Yeah, so it's like
calm down. before your internet will off, but
Adam doesn't play those games.
If Adams hears one word, you see a black screen.
But Chelsea, good luck this season. You said you'll be there. You'll see me. Don't worry. If you look at recent head-to-heads, I don't think you're above me in anything. Is that true or not? Recent times we played Chelsea. Because the most recent time you beat us 4-3.
When was the last time you won the league?
Huh?
When was the last time Man United won the league? I'm just asking a factual something everybody who watching this later will be able to also Google to make sure that you are not lying. Remember that. Okay. 2013 was 11 years ago.
Yeah.
So 11 years, you haven't won the
In
league.
2013, Bitcoin was still like 10 cents. I'm just saying.
In 2013, Uzo's background was still true.
When was the last time, as painful as it was, when was the last time you won Champions League?
It was in Nigeria.
Don't worry. I will skip over Chelsea because
Okay. You know what? Okay, one last question. When was the last time you won Europa League?
2017.
So we've even won that one more recently than you. I'm going back on you.
That's what I'm saying. You're not my problem. My problem and the guy that talks the most it's like that guy Chooks. It's like you have no trophies, no history. Your best player in the past few seasons left you to come to me, and you're still piping up. This guy is talking about, what have I won since Sir Alex, right? We're about to get to, because last time Arsenal won the Premier League was 2004, right? So we're 20 years in. So the next, whoever was born in 2004, they can go buy beer next year, and I still haven't won the Premier League. And this guy is doing title races, this and that. Still, all I have to say, Troops, is honestly like, I'm really not gonna get into it. But if Arsenal don't win this year, the promise that you made me, you have to keep it. You have to get off Twitter, and football is dead to you. You're just watching.